When we last visited, I had shared with you about fixing the screen door on a bathroom. That had really upset Kamari that summer. I'd asked her to marry me, and she left not long after that to go to BYU with her sister Diana. And I was there getting our place ready, and I was farming, and we'd leased a 1,600-acre farm and ranch operation. And so I fixed the bathroom door, and she was pleased with that when she got back. She got back to Stillwater the first week of August, and we were married on the 23rd of August. And so it wasn't a whole lot of time, but we didn't feel like we needed a lot of time, and we were going to go on a honeymoon. And so after the wedding that night, we went to Oklahoma. We drove to Oklahoma City, a couple hours away, hour and a half away, and spent the night in the Flamingo Hotel, our motel. And we got up the next morning, and I asked her, I said, "Sweetheart, what would you like to do?" We'd planned that we might be gone 3 or 4 days, and she looked at me and she said, "Do you really want to know?" I said, "That's why I asked you. What would you like to do?" And she said, "I'd like to ride my horse." And I said, "Okay, that's fine. I need to be in that north field plowing." And so that was at about 7:30 in the morning. We had breakfast and drove back, and by 10 o'clock she's on her horse, and I'm headed for the field to plow the north side of the place, the North 40. And so that constituted our honeymoon. We were civilly married on the steps of the old Berry Mansion, and I have some pictures that I'll go through at the end of this for you to see some of the things. Because I had joined the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and at that time, you couldn't go to the temple until you had been a member a year. And I joined on July 1st, and we were married in August. And that certainly didn't qualify as a year, and so we were married civilly. Bishop Murray was officiating at our wedding ceremony, and we had lots of people. One of the interesting things with that, when we were planning our wedding, Mrs. Berry said, "Well, let's make it a small affair. We'll just have some family and close friends, and that's all we'll have." And I said, "That's fine." And she said, "Lee, how many people will want to come from Newcastle?" And Newcastle was just almost exactly 100 miles away. And people then were more economically minded, I guess you would say, because I certainly didn't think, I told her, I said, maybe my immediate family, my grandparents might come, but I said, it's not going to be very many at all. And so she had prepared invitations for all of her family, and she kept having friends that she wanted to invite. Well, when the number passed 100, I said, "Mrs. Berry, why not just not worry about it? Just open it. We're going to have a lawn wedding anyway on the front steps of the house, and the yard will accommodate as many as want to come." So she said, "All right, good deal." She said, "We'll just throw it open." So we did. We had it open, and people kept saying from Newcastle that they were coming, and people from Stillwater kept replying that they were coming. And so we had chairs set for 300. There was standing room only. I mean, the chairs filled up, and there was probably another 50 to 100 people that were standing in the lawn watching the wedding ceremony. And if you've ever attended a ceremony done by a LDS bishop, they are not long, they're not elaborate by any means, and neither was ours. I know the most nervous person at the wedding was the bishop. Kamari and I commented as we got down to Oklahoma City for the part of our honeymoon, if you will. We talked about how nervous the poor bishop was. He was a basket case. But anyway, we had a very nice ceremony. Joe Lewis and Russell Saunders were best man. You'll see in some of the pictures a little bitty boy and a little bitty girl that were ring bearer and flower girl. The little boy was Steve Wynn, who is now a grown man with children and grandchildren and in Grand Junction, Colorado. And the little girl is Darla Allen. She was Darla Wynn. Steve was Denny's son, and Darla was Donnie's daughter, my two brothers. And so just a really nice family affair. One of the more interesting things with that is our wedding cake. You'll see it. It's a big tall cake, and Joyce Murray, our bishop's wife, she was into making cakes for festivals and all kinds of festive activities. It was a date cake. She used 27 pounds of dates in the one cake. And I'll add a little story over when you see the cake here in a little while. But it was a wonderful ceremony, and we started her life in a shotgun house on the Berry Ranch. We called it Cedar Bluff, and training horses and farming 600 acres of farm ground, and had 1,400 acres of pasture and whatnot. I had a 350 head mother cow herd, a commercial herd, and there's a story that goes with that later. Anyway, I thought that you needed to come forward chronologically to that point, and then we'll go from there and start spreading things that we did with horses and all kinds of different activities that Kamari and I shared. And I know she's looking down on me and watching out for me now, and life is good. So now I'm going to add some pictures. The front steps of the old Berry Mansion when we were married, and as you can see, it had plenty of people there. We were getting ready to leave, coming down, and here's Kamari and I going out, and you can see I married a wonderful, beautiful young bride. You can see in the background there, Steve Wynn was the ring bearer. Steve is my nephew. Darla Allen is in there to the far right, and she's my niece. They were ring bearer, and now they have grandchildren of their own, and it's a wonderful time. I was very fortunate to marry such a beautiful young woman and into a wonderful family. And we have created, I think, a nice family in the interim since then, and we're coming up to the cake. Joyce Murray at the far right made the cake, and she used 27 pounds of dates. We were there cutting it, and you can see that it was 5 tiers high. And I have a funny story relating to that I will tell in a later video. But we certainly had a good party there with all the people who were around and came through the reception line. We were under a grape arbor as they came through.